Hi guys! In this video, we are going to review the Nyko Mini Wireless Core Controller. Product link at the description below. This controller is available in either white or black. Let's check the box first. Here, it says Nyko Mini Wireless Core Controller. Wireless controller with turbo functionality. Charge and play cable included, and says that the controller is meant for a Nintendo Switch. Now let's look at the back. It connects with Switch and Android through Bluetooth. And again says that it has a turbo function. Says that the controller has an ergonomic feel and that a USB Type-C charging cable is included. Since this is a mini controller, it is smaller compared to regular sized controllers. Here's how it compares to a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. The controller is made of durable plastic. It does feel good holding this controller as it fits my hands pretty well. It is sturdy and doesn't deform easily. It feels a bit heavy for its size, probably because of its battery. The look of this controller is simple, plain color with minimalist design. The layout of the buttons are the same as Nintendo Switch Pro controllers, but has an analog trigger instead of bumpers. Its sticks are also slightly higher, which makes it a bit harder to use. Since this is mainly intended for a Nintendo Switch, let's try it on a Switch first. According to the manual, there are two ways of pairing it to the Nintendo Switch. First is through wireless mode. To pair it wirelessly with the Nintendo Switch, go to Controllers on your Nintendo Switch, then go to Change Grip or Order. Then hold the Home button and the Y button until the LEDs on the controller light up. Wait until the Nintendo Switch and the controller pair up. Unfortunately, this didn't work for me. According to Nyko's website, you just have to update the controller's firmware for it to work, but I have no time to update it, so I ended up following the second pairing option, which is through a USB cable, which was an inclusion in the Nyko controller. To do this, place your Nintendo Switch on dock. Connect the controller to the dock using the USB cable. All LEDs would initially start flashing, but after a few seconds, only one LED would start flashing. If that doesn't happen, press the power button on the Switch once and it should work. Disconnect the USB cable, then unmount the Nintendo Switch from the dock. Now we can use the controller wirelessly. If your controller suddenly disconnects when the Nintendo Switch goes on standby mode, just wake the device from standby by pressing the power button once, then hold the home button on the controller to reconnect it. I didn't experience any input lags for the Nyko controller. I tested the buttons using the controller test of Nintendo Switch, and all buttons are working. I also tested the turbo functionality of the controller here. To set the turbo functionality, hold the turbo button, then press on the button twice which you want to auto-fire. To disable the auto-fire, hold the turbo button, then press the auto-fired button once. Analog sticks are also responding pretty well. The gyroscope of the controller also works and was pretty responsive and easy to control. Also, note that this controller can only be reconnected if the Nintendo Switch is not on standby, as it cannot wake the Nintendo Switch unlike original Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. Now, let's try it on PC. The controller only connects to a PC via USB cable. It is plug and play, so you don't have to manually download and install a driver for it. The PC would recognize the controller as an Xbox controller. The buttons were tested through Control Panel, and all buttons are responding well. The buttons A, B, X, and Y are positioned differently on an Xbox controller compared to a Nintendo Switch controller. You might get confused when playing, as the buttons that would show up in the video games would be Xbox controller buttons. No problems were encountered aside from that, as the buttons were pretty responsive when being used on PC. Now let's try it on an Android device. Turn on Bluetooth on your Android device. Hold the home button and Y button until the LEDs flash. On your Android device, look for the controller on the list of available devices and then pair with it. Before using the controller, I made sure that anything related to accessibility on my Android device is turned off, as I found out that it would mess up with the controller's functionality on the Android device. As I've heard, mostly devices with Android 11 had this kind of problem. I tested the controller on an app from the Play Store, which is called Gamepad Tester, and all buttons were detected. It was also able to recognize the controller as a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. However, there are a few games which was not able to detect the controller. I had no problems using the controller on an Android device aside from that. To summarize, there were a few problems encountered, but not really that major for me. I would say that this is a great alternative for a Nintendo Switch Pro controller and also a great controller for PC and Android. I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.